mourned for thousands of years before 62 AH, when the armies of Umar Sa'd and Ibn Ziyad, under the orders of Yazid, killed the Imam along with his family and companions. The Prophet himself, along with Imam Ali and Imam al-Hasan, are reported on numerous occasions by historians of all denominations to have foretold this divine event, a sacrifice that not only saved Islam but inspired countless generations with the principles of love, honor and sacrifice. This series aims to decode how this event unfolded, looking at the most prominent characters and events in the lead up to the 10th of Muharram. History records more than 17,000 letters written inviting the Imam to lead the people in Kufa. These letters are the reason why the Imam ultimately heads towards Iraq, pivotal in analyzing the event of Karbala. While there are various lessons to be derived, the messenger of these letters holds another key in the events that lead up to the 10th of Muharram.
Qays ibn Mushir al Saydawi is said to be one of these very prominent Shia figures from Kufa. And Qays, because of his prominence in the city of Kufa, when the people of Kufa hear about the death of Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan, and they hear of the appointment of Yazid, they also hear that Imam Hussein salamullahi alayhi is not happy with this appointment of Yazid and is not accepting Yazid as a leader. When they hear all of this, people gather from Kufa. They gather and at one of the Kufans, one of the Shia Kufans' house, they gather and they decide that they will all write letters to Imam Hussein salamullahi alayhi, inviting him to come to Kufa. They also mention that Nu'man ibn Bashir is the current governor of Kufa, and if Imam Hussein salamullahi alayhi decides to come to Kufa, they will stand up against Nu'man and allow Imam Hussein to be the head of all of the Kufans. This is what they write to Imam Hussein salamullahi alayhi, and a large number, a lot of letters are sent to Imam Hussein. When these letters are sent to Imam Hussein salamullahi alayhi, Qays ibn Mushir, this individual, this prominent individual from Kufa, is told to go and visit Imam Hussein salamullahi alayhi personally in Medina, in Mecca, to go and visit Imam Hussein salamullahi alayhi personally in Mecca. Because as we know, when Imam Hussein salamullahi alayhi leaves Medina, then he goes to Mecca and he stays there for some time. Then during the time of Hajj, he leaves Mecca due to the safety situation that takes place. Qays is this individual, therefore, that is sent primarily by the Kufans to Imam Hussein salamullahi alayhi to convince him to come to Kufa and to tell him that there's a lot of support for him with the Kufans. When Qays then goes to Makkah al-Mukarramah and visits Imam Hussein salamullahi alayhi, he gives him all of the letters. He gives the Imam all of these letters that he has. The Imam then says that you are convincing me now to actually come to Kufa and to uprise against Yazid. Qays says, yes, look, Ya Imam, we are with you, we are supporting you, many of us are ready. The letters are in front of you as proof. The Imam then, what does the Imam do? The Imam tells his cousin, Muslim ibn Aqil, and tells Qays, and tells a few other individuals to go to the Kufans and to send the letter and this message from Imam Hussein to the Kufans. So as we understand the books of Maqtal, they tell us that وَقَدْ بَعَثْتُ إِلَيْكُمْ, and I am sending towards you أَخِي وَابْنَ أَمِّي وَثِقَةِ مِنْ أَحْلِ بَيْتِي, I am sending you my brother, who is also my cousin, وَثِقَةِ مِنْ أَحْلِ بَيْتِي, he is a trustworthy from my Ahlul Bayt, who? Muslim ibn Aqil. And when he goes to you, I have ordered him, وَأَمَرْتُهُ أَنْ يَكْتُبَ إِلَيَّ بِحَالِكُمْ, وَأَمَرْتُهُ أَنْ يَكْتُبَ بِحَالِكُمْ, to write about all of the affairs that are going on in Kufa. What is going on? Is it safe for me to come? Etc. etc. So Imam Hussein salamullahi alayhi then tells Qays to also accompany Muslim ibn Aqil to Kufa. So as we understand, Imam Hussein salamullahi alayhi وبعث مع مسلم ibn Aqil, and he sent, in other words, Imam Hussein salamullahi alayhi sent with Muslim ibn Aqil Qays ibn Mushir al Saydawi, Qays who is a Kufan, وإمارة ibn Abdullah al-Saluli وعبد الرحمن ibn Abdullah al-Azadi. Imam sends these 2 or 3 people with Muslim ibn Aqil to take a letter and a message from Imam Hussein to the people of Kufa. We are told the Imam then orders Muslim and all of these people, including Qays, to have taqwa, to be God-fearing, and to write whatever they see with regards to the affairs of the people of Kufa. From here we understand Qays becomes an actual ambassador of Imam Hussein, a Safiru Hussein salamullahi alayhi, in the way that Muslim ibn Aqil was trusted to be the main ambassador of Imam Hussein in Kufa. Qays also reached a level where he was also given this responsibility to accompany Muslim ibn Aqil with these other people to Kufa. Then we are told Muslim ibn Aqil, as he is going to Kufa, he stops over first at Medina. He does the ziyarah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wa alihi. He says goodbye to his family members, and he takes 2 guides with him from Banu Qays. So there's a tribe called Banu Qays. He takes 2 guides to show him the way to go to Kufa, where there is the easiest journey for them, where they can have a water source on the way, a journey that will be easy for them. As we then understand, these 2 guides that are sent with Qays and Muslim ibn Aqil and Imara and Abdullah, these 2 guides, they die of thirst on the way. They're so thirsty, there's no water left even for Muslim and the others. These 2 guides, they die of thirst. Before they die, they show Muslim ibn Aqil to take this path towards Kufa. And right enough, Muslim ibn Aqil and the people that are with him, they enter into Kufa. As we understand, when Muslim ibn Aqil enters into Kufa, Nu'man ibn Bashir, this individual Nu'man ibn Bashir, he is slightly lenient with Muslim. So there are certain people such as Umar ibn Sa'd and others that write to Yazid ibn Muawiyah. They say, Yazid, look, if you lose Kufa, if Kufa comes out of your hand, you've lost all of your empire. Everything is gone if you lose Kufa. Therefore, get rid of Nu'man ibn Bashir. So Yazid then sends who to Kufa? Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. When then Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad comes, Muslim is at different people's houses. He's at, for example, the house of Hani ibn Urwa. He's at another of the Shia's house. He's meeting them, he's discussing to get people together to support Imam Hussein salamullahi alayhi. At this time we are told, Qays then wants to go back to Imam Hussein salamullahi alayhi. He wants to go back to bring Imam Hussein with him when he enters into Kufa. In other words, he wanted to respect Imam Hussein and he wanted to come together with Imam Hussein into Kufa. So Qays, when he leaves, he is unaware that the situation worsens in Kufa and that Muslim ibn Aqil eventually is killed by Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. Qays then, as we told, is with Imam Hussein. Ya Hussein ibn Ali, I wish to come with you to go into Kufa. And we'll meet the Shias there and we will, inshallah, have a uprising against Yazid ibn Muawiyah. Unfortunately, what happens in Mecca is that Imam Hussein is forced to last minute leave his Hajj, as we know, as the history tells us. When this happens, Imam Hussein tells Qays with a letter. He says, take this letter, tell the Kufans that I have changed my intention and I have left Mecca without doing Hajj.
Like Muslim ibn Aqil, Qays is entrusted with the message of the Imam. This is not an ordinary position. When we analyze the situation in greater detail, we see that the Imam had remained in Mecca for 4 months and 10 days. However, he leaves on the day before Arafah. By doing this, he is making a very obvious statement to the people in Mecca, highlighting the pressure he's being put on by Yazid. And secondly, he is sending Qays to tell the people of Kufa that he is on his way.
At that time, he was not aware of the death of Muslim ibn Aqil. So here again, he is sent again as an ambassador. First time he was sent as an ambassador with Muslim ibn Aqil. This time he is sent with a letter to go to the Kufans, to tell them about what has happened with Imam Hussein and that the danger level has increased and Imam Hussein has left without doing his Hajj. When he gets then towards Kufa, he reaches Qudsiya, this area near South Kufa, where Hasin ibn Namir is delegated responsibility of guarding this border by Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, who is now the governor of Kufa. When he sees all of these people at Qudsiya, they say he hides in a bush, wherever he hides. He's unsure what's happening. He's of course a Shia. If he goes, they'll capture him. He spends the night asking people about what has happened. These people then tell him that, look, Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad has been appointed. There's a lot of crackdown on the Shias and the supporters of Imam Hussein. Be very careful. Now he is confused. Either he goes back to Imam Hussein and says, look, this has happened in Kufa, don't come to Kufa. Or he goes in and he helps who? Muslim ibn Aqil. So he's not sure, he doesn't know that Muslim has died. He's confused. Either I go and help Muslim so that Kufans can be ready to fight for Imam Hussein, or with Imam Hussein, or I tell Imam Hussein, I go back and I tell him not to fight and not to come to Kufa. Eventually he decides to actually go in and help Muslim. So he says, I'll help Muslim ibn Aqil, and hopefully I'll be able to bring such a situation where Imam Hussein salamullahi alayhi then can come into Kufa. He tries then to pass this border into Kufa without them noticing. And what happens is Hasin ibn Namir then spots him, stops him. They know who he is. They know he is a Shia of Imam Hussein and Amir al-Mu'mineen salamullahi alayhi, and he is taken to Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. When Qays is taken to Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad says, look, Qays, I know you. You are from Kufa, we know. You are a very prestigious, prominent individual in Kufa. I will spare your life on one condition. He says, what's this condition? He says, you see this member over there, you sit on this member and you curse Hussein ibn Ali. Na'udhu billah. You curse Imam Hussein salamullahi alayhi, I will spare your life. Qays says, fine, no problem. He goes to this member. He sends salutations on Amir al-Mu'mineen salamullahi alayhi, on Hussein ibn Ali salamullahi alayhi, and he sends his la'na on Yazid and Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. In other words, you think just by sparing his life he will curse Hussein ibn Ali? No, he is the ambassador of Imam Hussein salamullahi alayhi. The reason why Imam Hussein salamullahi alayhi chose him as an ambassador is because Imam Hussein saw these qualities within him, this istiqama, this steadfastness, as the Quran says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا رَبُّنَا اللَّهُ ثُمَّ اسْتَقَامُوا تَتَنَزَّلُ عَلَيْهِمُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ. Those that say our Lord is Allah, they believe in Allah and have steadfastness, Allah causes the angels to descend upon that individual. Have this steadfastness. He goes on this member, he sends salutations on Ahlul Bayt, he curses Yazid and he curses Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad then is angry. Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad then orders that Qays, his body is taken to the roof and he is thrown off this roof and he is killed. And they say that the last words that Qays says before he passes away, before he dies, is what? Ya Aba Abdullah alayka minni salam. His last words before he passes away from this world. Oh my master, oh Aba Abdullah, my last salams towards you. And then they say he has a smile on his face because he is dying in the way of Imam Hussein. He is part and parcel of this tragedy of Karbala. And he is thrown off the roof and he is killed. Qays, from his life, we see the steadfastness, the determination to help Imam Hussein salamullahi alayhi, the willingness to not even change one bit his beliefs, his actions, and to serve Hussein ibn Ali. And that's why his name is bright in the books of history as the ambassador, Safir al-Hussein salamullahi alayhi.
As Qays is killed, he makes clear to the people present that the Imam is on his way. The people of Kufa now know the Imam has left Mecca and is soon to arrive. It is up to them to make their decision, to decide whether they will live up to the letters of invitation they had sent to the Imam.
A very interesting question comes: who then wrote these letters to Imam Hussein? The people of Kufa. Who were the people of Kufa? Were all of them Shia Muslims who then turned their backs on Imam Hussein salamullahi alayhi? Who were the people that Qays had gone to meet? Were all of them from one group or not? There's a book by Ayatollah Ali Husseini Milani Hafidhahullah called Manhum Qatalatul Hussein alayhi salam. Shi'atul Kufa, who killed Imam Hussein? The Shias of Kufa, question mark. There he mentions, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَتَبُوا إِلَيْهِ, those that wrote towards him, towards Imam Hussein salamullah alayhi, يَنْقَسِمُونَ إِلَىٰ قِسْمَيْنِ, they are categorized into two categories. So those people that wrote letters to Imam Hussein are from two categories. قِسْمٌ كَانُوا شِيئَةً لَهُ, those that were Shia Muslims, believed in Imam Hussein salamullah alayhi's wilaya and Amir al-Mu'mineen's wilaya. وَقِسْمٌ لَمْ يَكُونُوا شِيئَةً لَهُ, the second group that weren't Shia. So two groups wrote letters to Imam Hussein. The first were actually those that believed, those that were Shia Muslims, those that believed in the wilaya. The second were those that were not believers in this wilaya. This second group are also split into وَهَؤُلَاءَ عَلَىٰ قِسْمَيْنِ. The second group that were not Shia, they also split into two groups. Number one, Al-Khawarij, the Khawarij, that were there during the time of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Number two, Hizb Bani Umayyah, a party of Banu Umayyah. We are told that 3 or 4 groups wrote to Imam Hussein. The first were the true Shias, like Qays ibn Mushir and others, who wanted Imam Hussein to come so that they could support him. First group. The second group were those individuals that had a problem with Yazid. They had some issue with Yazid, they didn't like Yazid, they didn't want Yazid to remain in power, so they used Imam Hussein salamullah alayhi as a scapegoat. That we will, yes, support this Hussein ibn Ali so that he can get rid of Yazid, so that Yazid can then go. Our only aim is that Yazid is no longer in power, whether jealousy or whatever it may be. This was the second group that wrote to Imam Hussein saying, we support you, but for the other reasons, not for their belief in Imam Hussein. The third group were those that knew that when a war takes place, there is always war booty. And they wanted to gain a lot from this state of Kufa and the state of Yazid. They knew that there was a lot of wealth. They said, if we support Hussein ibn Ali, we will get a lot of this wealth. 3 groups, and we are told the first group was in a very small number, the true Shias. And they, when they wrote to Imam Hussein salamullah alayhi, they stuck to their promise. Many of them were placed in the jails by Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, Mukhtar al-Thaqafi. If you look at the son of Malik al-Ashdar, for example, many others were in the jail. They were unable to help Imam Hussein salamullah alayhi, even if they wanted to, and they did want to. The other 2 groups, those that were jealous of Yazid and wanted Yazid to be out of power, and those that wanted the war booty, when they saw that their life is in danger from supporting Hussein ibn Ali, they automatically stepped back. And these 2 groups were in the majority. So not all of the people that wrote to Imam Hussein had true faith in Hussein ibn Ali. Those that did, such as Qays, stood up to their promise. And this is something we have to also reflect on. That we read, for example, Dua al-Ahad, where I make a covenant with my Imam salamullahi alayhi. What is my covenant about? Which type of covenant am I actually reciting? Is it the covenant of Qays, who is willing to give his life, of Muslim ibn Aqil, of Hani ibn Urwa, of Mukhtar al-Thaqafi? Or is it like those other individuals whose intentions were not correct, who wanted Imam Hussein salamullah alayhi to be in power for other reasons? And this is one of the greatest lessons from the life of Qays ibn Mushir, rahmatullahi alayhi.
While this misconception has been purposely promoted to take responsibility away from the Bani Umayyah and the true killers of the Imam, there existed one more group of people that invited the Imam, a group that remains most significant.
It's important also for us not to forget that there were many people that pledged to Imam Hussein salamullahi alayhi with their hearts. So they didn't pledge to Imam Hussein because they wanted to use him as a scapegoat for their other intentions. They wanted to see him as the Imam, as the leader, and they wanted to see him uprise against Yazid ibn Muawiyah. But when it then came to the final moments of making that decision as to whether they follow Imam Hussein or not, Shaitan can deceive. Sometimes human beings are worse than Shaitan. They deceive more. Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad deceived the people how in Kufa? He would call a Shia. He would keep him in the middle of the city. he would call all of the other Shias. He would behead this person in front of all of them. If you follow Muslim ibn Aqil, what will happen to you? This will happen to you. Now this type of situation, this trickery played by Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, meant that many people who didn't have the strong faith required to be with your Imam, whether it be us with our Imam Salamullah alayhi ajjallahu ta'ala farajah sharif, or that during the time of Imam Hussein Salamullah alayhi, it is required that you are able to give everything. Everything you are able to give. Some people, their wives were not willing. So they said, okay, my wife is not allowing me to go, I won't go. Other people, they were scared for other reasons. They had wealth issues. They were scared of the repercussions of Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad and Yazid. In other words, their faith had not reached that level where they were ready to give everything for Imam Hussein. And when that faith is weak, when that Iman is weak, when I haven't understood who the Imam is, if I understand who the Imam is, then my faith will be strong, then I'll be ready to give everything. When I haven't understood who the Imam is, and my faith therefore is weak, then when these types of trickery are played, whether it be by Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, or Dajjal during the last times, Akhir al-Zaman, or Sufyani during Akhir al-Zaman, then my heart will crack under this pressure. And then Shaitan, he will win, because I haven't understood who the Imam actually is. And this was the reason why some of the people from Kufa who wrote letters to the Imam then turned back. They wanted to see him originally, but their faith was not that strong that they were willing to go through hardship to see the Imam as the leader, in the way that Qays was willing to suffer all types of hardship to see Imam Hussein salamullah alayhi enter Kufa and be running this military expedition against Yazid and Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. This faith, the strength of faith, was missing in many of these individuals.